Shalom, Ahab, wa Baraka. First and foremost, Kol Halayama, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Wahab Rakwa Kadash. And double honors to all the elders, the apostles, the prophets, the disciples, the teachers, the students. The sincere Akiyam Wa'ath coming into the 100% truth. Now, I brought out a class called The Hidden Identity of the Negroes. Now, the thing is I have to do a follow-up class to that because there's also what we call confusion of faith. So, when we're scattered to the four corners of the earth, what happened is that while being intermingled with these other nations, we began to look like them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start there. Let's go to, first of all, let's go to the we're going to go to the book of we're going to go to the book of John, chapter 7. John chapter 7, blue letter KJV. I like the blue letter because you can look everything up through it. I highly recommend putting the blue letter in your on your icons. It's pretty much the best resource for studying the scriptures. There are some other books, but I just prefer the blue letter the best. So, with that being said, let's go to the book of John, chapter 7 and verse 24. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Judge not according to someone's appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So let's get right into that. Let's go over to the book of Romans. And we're going to go to chapter 1. And what we're going to do is jump right down to the point. Okay? Romans chapter 13 and verse 1. I just like to read around a little bit and make sure there's no more anything that has to add to the point that I'm making. So let's just go Romans chapter 1 verse 13. Romans 1 and 13. Now, I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I proposed to come unto you, but was let hitherto, that I might have some fruit among you also, even as among other Gentiles. So, what is he talking about here? He's saying that I am going to try and figure out that which one of you guys are Israelites, that I may have fruit among you. So we need to figure out what he means by fruit. So let's get that immediately, because I'm not giving it away. He's talking about he's looking for his other Israelites. But when you get into this day and age, we've been scattered to pretty much the four corners of the earth almost at this point. So he's looking around and he's trying to figure out who's an Israelite, because everybody looks the same now. We're all, how would they call it in America? The old melting pot. But really, he knows the truth. And the truth is we have a bloodline. And so he's trying to find the people on his bloodline. In fact, let's get some precepts and then move forward. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 11, and we're going to get right to what he's talking about when he says fruit. Now watch this. And Yahweh said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seeds, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. Let me read one more. Genesis chapter 1 verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass and herbs yielding seed after his kind. His. And the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And Yahweh saw that it was good. We're the tree. Our fruit is, the fruit comes from our seed. So let's say that this person over here is an Iranian, according to their seed. And they look like a black person. But, the Iranians these days, they got the comb over. They look like dark brown Edomites. But let's say the Iranian looks like an African. But when you start going through his pedigree and his genealogy, you find out that he's in fact not an African, but he is an Iranian. So that's why when Paul said, I'm looking for fruit amongst us, he's looking for Israelites. He doesn't care what they look like at this point. He's trying to figure out who's on the bloodline. So let me just read right through it again, and we'll move on. Genesis 1 and 11 and 12. And God said, and Yahweh said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. Okay? And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. My seed is inside of me, and it's after my kind. So if you go back, I'm the seed of my father, and my father's the seed of his father, and the sons that I have are the seed of me. So, and Yahweh saw that it was good. So now we know that the fruit that Paul is talking about in Romans is the other Israelites that are on his bloodline. He's looking for other Israelites, not just any person. He's looking for people that can line up with these scriptures. See, it even tells us in the scripture that the only people that are going to be able to receive this message is the 1/3. So even if they are his people, they're still going to reject him being the 2/3. And he's looking for the 1/3 among everybody, because you can't tell these days. Let's keep going. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy and chapter 22. And we're going to start at verse 9, okay? Because we were talking about the pedigree, right? Thou shalt, let me go back. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled. So, it's saying that you as an Israelite should not be going out intermingling with these other people, because it defiles your bloodline. And the defiling is like, when you're a man, you're gonna still be the bloodline of your father, but you might look like your mother. You might look like the other nations. You might not look like an Israelite anymore. So let's just keep going. Let's go over to the book of Daniel and get into this confusion of face and the shamefulness of our iniquities. Watch this. We're going to go over to the book of Daniel, chapter 9. And I don't know what I did again. And we're going to start at verse we're going to go to Daniel chapter 9. We're going to start at verse 5. Okay? We have sinned. We have committed iniquity. We have done wickedly and have rebelled by departing from thy precepts and thy judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all our people of the land. Okay, let's keep going. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but to us confusion of face. So in other words, shame. The confusion they're feeling is shame right here. It's not saying that they don't look like other people. Their confusion of face is like when somebody walks around. Have you ever seen somebody after an accident and they're just completely disoriented? Like, what happened? What did I do wrong? That's what it's talking about. Okay? So, O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of face, as at this day, to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries, whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespass that they have trespassed against thee. Verse 8, O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. To the Lord Yahweh belong mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him. Neither have we obeyed the voice of Yahweh, our God, to walk in his ways, which he set before us by his servant, the prophets. So, why do we have confusion of face? Why are we confused on what's going on? Why are we walking around saying, I can't believe what happened? Because we didn't keep the laws. Let me prove it. Let me read one more verse. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing. So the word even, I type every time it's an old English word it means indeed. So indeed, by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us. So how can you tell when someone's an Israelite? They are cursed. They don't own everything. They don't run the earth. They're at the bottom. They're on earth. They're not in heaven. Heaven is rulership. Earth is servitude. The Israelites, therefore, the curse is poured out upon us, and the oath is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, because we have sinned against him. Like, remember, he sprinkled the blood, and we made a covenant, and we said, all that you have said, we will do. Then you go into the book of Deuteronomy 28 and 15, and it says, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, and observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. Did we do that? No. And so what happens? All these curses shall come upon thee. So now we know that. So now we know why we're cursed, because we didn't keep the law. But we still walk around confused because we never studied the law to realize that we were the ones breaking it in the first place. Let me get back into it. Let's go to the book of Ezra. Where are you at, Ezra? There you are. Book of Ezra, and we're going to go to chapter 9. And the point I think that I want to make is starting from the top. Now, when these things were done, the princes came to me saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands. In other words, we were joining ourselves with the other nations and starting to follow their gods and their traditions. So the people have not separated themselves. The Levi. Okay, and let me start over. Ezra 9:1. Now, when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even indeed of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. So, let's keep going. They have taken of their daughters for themselves and of their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of the lands. What did I tell you? That's a defilement. Yea, the lands of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. So, our leaders, our rulers, who we look up to, who we follow. In some cases, some people worship them as gods. Those guys were the first ones breaking the law. So when they were out breaking this law, being chief, number one, numero uno in this trespass, guess what? Guess what happens to the people? They follow after their leader. So the people now are all intermingling, and they think it's okay. Hey, the leaders are doing it. I mean, the priests are doing it. So why can't we do it, right? Since the day, this is Ezra, we're going to jump down to verse 7. So Ezra 9 and 7. Since the days of our fathers, we have been in a great trespass unto this day. And for our iniquities, we have our kings and our priests have been delivered into the land of the kings of the lands, to the sword, to captivity, to a spoil, and to confusion of face as it is this day. We don't know who we are. We don't even know what the Israelites look like. We think that there's some people, some Israelis over in what was called Palestine in 1947. So really, we have a very serious problem here with confusion of face. But let me keep going. Let me read that one again because I kind of destroyed it. Since the days of our fathers have we been in a great trespass unto this day. And for our iniquities we have our kings and our priests have been delivered into the hand of the kings of the lands. To the sword, to captivity, to a spoil, and to confusion of face as it is this day. So what did we do? We went into slavery. And the ones that didn't go into slavery got destroyed by the sword. The ones that did go into slavery got robbed, raped, and murdered. So let's keep going. Let's go over to the book of the First Chronicles, chapter 9. And we're going to start from the top. So all Israel were reckoned by genealogies, and behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, who were carried away to Babylon for their transgressions. So Israel was reckoned by their genealogies. And the word genealogy, it's a line of descendants continuous. So it's a line of descendants continuously from an ancestor. So when you say they were reckoned by their genealogies, it didn't go by what color their skin was, or whether they looked like an Asian or an African or a European or a Mongolian. I'm just saying, that's not what it's going by. They're reckoned by their forefathers, the bloodline of their ancestors. That's what it's telling you. So so I wanted to show you that. In fact, let's go. I got a precept to that too, because now we know what genealogies are. It's a line of descendants continuously from an ancestor. We better get that other one too, right? Let's go to Numbers. We got to go to the book of Numbers, chapter 1. Not leaving no stone unturned for you guys to say, well, what about this? I'll show you. Numbers 1 and 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigree. Now we need to figure out what pedigree means. After their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upwards by their polls. Let's see what pedigree means. We'll even play it for you.
Strong's H 3205. Yalad.
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 Yalad. Strong's H 3205. Yalad. And it means to bring forth. Gender, to bear, bring forth, of childbirth. To begot, to be born. The day of birth, to declare one's birth. And there's a few others that don't really line up. So, a primitive root. Your primitive root. That's what we're looking for. Your pedigree is your primitive root. Okay. Now we know that it's a bloodline. We know that we look like the other nations. How are we going to be able to figure out an Israelite from the other nations if we all look the same? I mean, you don't see any black or so-called black people in China or Japan. You just don't see it. So we have to assume that there's nobody that actually fits that description there. But it says in the scriptures that we were scattered to the four corners of the earth, the four winds of the earth, and that we would be intermingled with the other nations because we're their slaves. Now, you don't see very many. In fact, I've never seen anybody that fits the description of a so-called black person unless they were here doing a YouTube show and went to visit there or got a job from some other country and went there. But to actually be there and look like them, yeah, you don't really see that now, do you? So we know that we're scattered to the four corners of the earth, but how are we going to tell the difference between an Israelite and somebody that's from the other nations? Now we know about the pedigree, we know about the genealogy, we know about the seed within itself. Let's figure it out because it's all scriptural. So we need to first go to the book of Romans. This is how we're going to figure it out right now. We're going to go to the book of Romans. We're going to go to chapter 8. And we're going to start at verse I want to start at verse 5, I guess. For they that are after the flesh do mind things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. So your first clue to whether this person is just somebody from the other nations or an Israelite, your first clue is, are they after worldliness or spirituality? Now, it doesn't mean that just because they're after spirituality, they're an Israelite, but there's your first clue. There's a difference between, because people that are after the flesh do carnal things. I gotta touch it, I gotta feel it, I gotta see it. But those that are after the Spirit, they're spiritual things. They have faith. They have faith in things they can't see. Now, let's keep going. Romans 8:6. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. So right away you think, okay, this person's spiritually minded. They're about life and peace. But to be worldly, to do the things of the world, is death. Because, let me give you an example of death. You're carnally minded is death. Okay, the scriptures say don't eat pork. So you eat pork for all these years. And then you find out that pork actually it causes disease. And now you've got that disease in your body. You end up dying from the disease over a long period of time because you have been eating this unclean flesh that you were told not to, but you didn't realize, because since nothing happened to you right away, you thought, oh, it's okay, I can do this. But it turns out that it was a slow death and a very painful one. So you got to understand that, and that would be a carnally minded person, because they not only go against the law, but they're worried about, they're doing things that feel good to themselves. So, like I said, see, touch, feel, hear, just like things that you can actually put your hands into. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to read it again and then keep going. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Verse 7. Because the carnal minded is enmity, For the carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh, neither indeed can be. Let's see what enmity means. It's Strong's G 2189.
Strong's G 2189.
Ethra. So, ethra. Let's see what it means. Hatred. I think that's just exactly what we were looking for. Hatred, okay? And pretty much that's what it means. There is no other definition for it. It's hatred. So, knowing that word means hatred, let's read it again. This is Romans 8:7. Because the carnal mind is hatred against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh. Why? Because he already hates Yahweh. He hates his law. He's not going to follow the law. Neither indeed can be. So he can't even be a part of the law because of who he is. He's got a hatred. He's carnal minded. He hates the Most High. So, Romans 8:8. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahweh. If you are a worldly person, you are not going to be a pleasing sight to the Most High. Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kadash. But don't worry, there's more. Romans 8:9. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit. If so be that the Spirit of Yahweh dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Spirit of Yahweh Shai, he is none of his. So, right there, if you can have the Spirit, but if it's not the Spirit of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, he's not in the Spirit. He is not one of the people that you should be dealing with. Let's keep going. This is the book of Romans. We could read this whole chapter and it's going to be valid. How are you going to figure out who the Israelites are now that we've been mingled to the four corners of the earth? Don't worry, we're coming up to the grand finale pretty soon here. Let's keep going. Romans 8 and 10. And if Yahweh Shai be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the Spirit is life because of righteousness. But if the Spirit of him that raised up Yahweh Shai from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Yahweh Shai from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Spirit. So what is he going to do? He's going to put life into your mortal bodies, and he's going to put his Spirit in you. That life that dwell in you. So he's going to put his Spirit that dwell in you. So he's going to quicken your mortal bodies by putting his Spirit in you. He's going to put life in you, but he's going to use his Spirit to do it. If you can understand that. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. Didn't it already just tell us that? For a carnally minded person is enmity against God. Plus, wait, let's go back to it though. There it is. For to be carnal minded is death. Romans 8 and 6. And so we go back down to Romans 8 and 13. Like I said, for if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. He's like repeating himself. This is an important information he's giving out. He wouldn't just sit there repeating himself if this wasn't so important. Let me read it again. For if you live after the flesh, you shall die. But if you, through the Spirit, do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. So in other words, if you stop smoking and being a drug addict, running around eating unclean foods, putting hair products in your hair that actually turn your brain into a sponge, doing things against the Most High's law that are carnal. If you can stop doing that, you shall live. That's how you mortify the members. That's how you, through the Spirit, do mortify the deeds of the body. Stop doing things that are against Yahweh's law. Now we got 3 more verses, and then I'm going to go ahead and get out of Romans. Romans 8 and 15. Romans 8 and 14. 8 and 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of Yahweh, they are the sons of Yahweh. So when you have been quickened, when he put his Spirit in you of life, you're led by him, and you're one of his. That's who we're looking for. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to find out, without a shadow of a doubt, how to figure out in this day and age who's an Israelite and who's not, without going by a skin color or any of that. All that physical shit does not exist in the scriptures. So let's get it. Romans 8 and 15. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. So we didn't receive this. We didn't get put back into slavery for fear. Ye have received the spirit of adoption. We're being adopted. We're being grafted back into the kingdom right now. Now, This is how you know when you're dealing with an Israelite or if you're dealing with the other nations. Listen carefully. Romans 8:16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh. So when two like-minded spirits of Yahweh get together, there's a connection. There's a power there. And then Yahweh Shai shows up as the third person. That two that come together in his name, he shows up, right? So the Spirit itself is going to bear witness with our spirit. So his spirit is going to let your spirit know that you are both the children of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? I think I have one more verse. I want to check it out first before we let this go. I just want to make sure it relates to what we're talking about. Yeah, I guess I could read this, but we know that because the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. So we get around another Israelite, whether you look like an Israelite or not, your spirit is going to bear witness with their spirit. And I did want to bring this last one out because a lot of people bring this out, and honestly, it is a good scripture. It's valid. Let's go to Hosea 7:8. Ephraim, that's the northern kingdom, hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. So that's saying actually two things. Now, if you were to take a pancake, for instance, and you cook it on one side and you don't flip it, it's still going to look like the off-white batter on the other side. But if it's not turned, then when you look at the bottom, it's going to be dark. So Ephraim, half of the northern kingdom, half of your family is one nation, and half of your family the other nation. You're like a cake not turned. I guess you could say, according to how this is written, half your family black and half your family white. But it's also saying, this is what I always broke this down for real though. This is to me, this is the real breakdown. Ephraim, you're like, you have mixed yourself among the people. You're just like the other nations. You're a cake not turned. You have not changed anything about yourself in all this time, knowing that you're going to be devoured. Just don't care. And now you've been doing it so long. Let me read the next verse for you. The strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not. Yea, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knoweth it not. So Ephraim, you haven't changed. You don't even realize it. But you're mingled to the four corners of the earth, and right now, it's time to wake up. It's time for the children of Israel, that 1/3, to wake up. It's time for us to start keeping the laws. Now, I'm not expecting anybody outside of the 1/3 to wake up, because it doesn't say that. I am only speaking to the 1/3 at this time. There is no reason to talk to the 2/3, and the other nations, the only reason why we would talk to them to prophesy their death. And the ones that escape death will become slaves of the children of Israel. It's all written. As of right now, we still don't even know who we are. But through these classes, I can only say I hope that you are able to get something out of this message. And with that being said, Shalom.